Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey with Clarita, the podcast where we will discuss valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Subscribe now to Begin, Build, Blossom, and let's embark on your business journey. Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you, whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Good day. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey with Clarita. And today we have with us Ethan Leo. Meet Ethan. He's a talented musician from the beautiful island of St. Lucia. He's been playing the trumpet for over 15 years now, but has only recently ventured into the professional scene about a year and a half ago. While Ethan sees his music as a product to be shared with the world, he also has a keen eye on other areas of business. He's currently pursuing his first degree in computing with a minor in music, blending his love for both technology and creativity. Welcome, Ethan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So Ethan and I met during my recent trip to St. Lucia. He was with a dear friend of mine, and it was a chance meeting. I say it was a chance meeting because we almost would not have met.
Right.
But I'm really glad that I met you. Right. And I'm really happy that we got to talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
And you accepted our invitation to join us. So thank you so much.
Of course, I think that it was not, I'm trying to stay away from things like coincidence, but I really think that it was God leading us to meeting in that point.
Well, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I take that instead. So let's not say coincidence. It was God led. All right. Well, I'm really, really happy that happened. So as we mentioned, Ethan is a musician. So Ethan, let's get started with a section we call Rapid Fire. We're going to ask you a few questions to just get to know you a little better. So let's get started with this. We're looking for 2 words from you. One that describes you now and one that described you as a child.
You said rapid fire, but now I have to think. Me now, I would say intentional. And as a child, I would say interested or questioning everything. That's 2 words, but yeah, questioning everything.
That works.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And which instrument do you play?
I play the trumpet. That's my primary instrument, and I did some other instruments, but trumpet is my main.
Okay. And what's one of the best things about being a musician?
Expression. Being a musician is easier to express myself. I generally don't express myself with words. I'm usually someone who's quiet unless, it's a social scene where, I'm being loud and obnoxious. But in expression, I'm usually a bit quiet and timid. But when it comes to music, I just let everything flow and, just let it go through the trumpet.
Okay, great. I love that. And what's one of the not so good things about being a musician, if there is such a thing?
I wouldn't say it's a not so good thing, but it calls for a lot of discipline, and it's something that you have to cultivate in your journey as a musician.
Okay, discipline. Yes, I can imagine there's a lot of rehearsals, which takes a lot of time commitment as well. So that goes hand in hand with discipline.
Right.
Right. And is there a book that you'd recommend or even a movie that you'd recommend?
As a musician, well, when it comes to music theory, I would recommend, it's a small book. It was described to me as the Bible for music. It's the steps to music theory 1 to 5. So it takes you through grades 1 to 5 of music theory. It has a lot of information in that very small book. I can help you because theory is very important in music. It's good to have a good ear, but, in music theory does help you and it does take you other places. So I would say that book is very important.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that with us. So we'll move on now to the begin segment. So I'm just wondering, what first inspired you to start creating music or playing the trumpet?
Well, music began for me before trumpet began. Although my father or my mother, neither of them plays an instrument or really sings like that. My father has always been an avid lover of music. So we would wake up in the morning and, we would have the radio playing and there'll be music and he'd be singing along whilst we're getting ready for school. And even on the way to school, there'll be music playing in the car. So music has always been part of my life growing up. For trumpet now, it started I was in grade 4. So that was like 2008, thereabout. And we had just did an audition on the recorder, a group of us from my school, the WSD primary school. And well, all my friends decided they were going to learn the flute, which is a more complicated version of the recorder. And so I decided I was going to do that as well. And 3 of them were successful and I was not. So I had to try out other instruments and I tried out, I think, almost every instrument in that room and nothing was happening for me. So the teacher, he went to another room to get a cornet, which is just a shorter version of a trumpet. It's more flexible for marching and marching band stuff. So, he went and he got it and he was looking at it a little bit doubtful that I would be able to produce that sound right away. I got it and like almost instantly I produced the sound on the trumpet and yeah, it just stuck with me. So it wasn't a thing of, I've always wanted to play this instrument, but the moment I started, it just stuck and we've been doing it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. So how did you feel when you actually were not able to get the flute going during that time of actually trying and you didn't get it?
I felt like, wow, I suck, man. I can't do this thing. Everybody else is doing it and I can't do it. So it was, and again, I was in grade 4. You don't really understand, that there's different techniques to things you have to learn and seeing everybody else being able to get it so easily. And then myself now I was struggling and I mean, I think it took me about 3 months or so after till I was able to produce a sound on the flute.
Wow. And now when you tried out the trumpet and you were successful in that moment, how did you feel?
Yeah, so for sure, like there was joy because now I feel like I have something that I was able to do, and
Right.
yeah, and especially seeing the reaction of the music teacher. He was first scared that I wasn't able to do it, and then it was a nice, rich sound. It wasn't a faint sound. So much so he was like, "Whoa, okay." So seeing his reaction, it helped my reaction as well. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually good at this.
Nice. And I'm guessing that motivated you to keep going, to keep playing the trumpet from that moment, right?
For sure, for sure, for sure.
Nice, nice. So in the introduction, we mentioned that you've been playing the trumpet professionally, well, for about 1.5 years now. So you've been doing it for a while, but it sounds like you recently started doing it professionally. So tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, I would have started. I got a call from a teacher friend of mine. I was a music teacher at the time, and he told me he's been doing these jobs at Coconut Bay, and he's looking for someone. So he asked me if I'm interested, and I said yes. So we started doing these gigs. It was about an hour and a half every Saturday night. Well, I would go every other Saturday night because it would have been a trio, and there were four of us in the group, so it would have rotated. So yeah, that's where it would have started for me, and then I would have left to come to Trinidad to pursue my degree, and it started into bigger shows with the likes of the Charles Project and Charmaine, the wonderful artist here in Trinidad, and the US. And, yeah, just some wonderful artists who I was able to perform with here in Trinidad. And then, going back home it was a wonderful experience for me because I was able to, be, you playing for other groups. And then now I was the center for Hills and Valleys Jazz in my community of Bexar. And yeah, so massive shout out to those persons in the committee, Shembiru, Francine Hall, Kathleen Andrews, for seeing my talent and deciding to put me on there. So that's what it's been for me right now.
That's great. So you've been playing both in St. Lucia and Trinidad?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, wow. That's great. So in terms of the kinds of music you play, what would you say influence your style?
My style, well, growing up with the trumpet in the school of music, I would have been introduced to a lot of jazz early. So that has kind of influenced me. It's a lot of improvisational stuff. And then growing up in church as well, I was also around gospel a lot. So yeah, it's kind of like that gospel, jazz, some funk in there, and blues. So yeah, I think that's my style would kind of be like a fusion of all those that some type of melange, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So would you say you've created your own style over the years, or?
I'm not sure that I have created my own as yet. I'm still working on what my sound is and what my style is. But I definitely feel like there's some things that I would stay away from because it's not what I like to play and what I want to sound like. So there's an idea of what I want to sound like, but I don't think that I've perfected it yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing with us. And we're going to move on now to the building segment. I know we were talking about what you want to sound like, but in terms of your creative process, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
For me, in the beginning of my playing and performing, it would have been a lot of, so if we take example of playing in church, it would have been a lot of playing if I'm playing a song, playing the song exactly as it is. In building my sound and building what I want to sound like, being learning to take that and then build on it and make it more of what I want to do, make it different from what that person is doing. So that's where I've been going and taking songs and seeing okay, so this is nice. I would like to do this same song, but right now it sounds a bit classical. I'd like to do it, more jazzy. Or this hymn sounds great, but I'd like to do it as a funk song or a jazz song or something different. And just seeing how I can be different because many persons would have done that same song, right? And it's okay to do it that way if you choose, but it's also okay to want to leave your mark of how that song was done. So we use the song Dolly Parton's song Jolene, right? Beyonce would have done it as well, but she did not do it as Dolly Parton did it. naturally because the styles are different. So Beyonce made it more of her song as opposed to just redoing what Dolly Parton would have done. And Dolly Parton in herself, she appreciated that. So that's how I look at things and songs now. Paying homage to what the original person and the author and the creator of that song would have done, but then also leaving my mark on it.
Okay, I love that. And do you have any originals that you work with?
Not really. I have some in the pipeline. I have that made, some instrumentals where I would have wanted persons to sing on it. But in terms of making a full original song for myself, I have something in mind. I have a few recordings that I need to piece together and see, how it can work out. But nothing that is out yet. Nothing that is out yet.
Okay, all right. Well, let us know when that's the case. We'd be happy to know that. All right. And when we look at the business side of things, so it sounds like you started with by playing at the hotel. How has that changed over time, especially now actually playing in Trinidad as well? And maybe touch on the collaborations you've had, the kind of people you've been able to come in touch with and to actually play with, and just walk us through that journey.
So in that journey of the business of it, yeah, I would have seen how much what your value is and how much you need to put a value on your craft. So you can't let others dictate your value. So if you decide an hour show is $200, then you need to stick to your price. And if someone doesn't want to pay it, it's fine to walk away from that. And I've also realized, in coming to Trinidad, when you have something good, when you have a good product, persons are going to be willing to pay the value of that product. Once you establish this is what you're getting, this is what I'm going to provide to you, and this is the quality of music that you are going to get from me. But then this is what you are going to have to pay. And they're going to realize, okay, yes, this is very good quality. And if that's the price I have to pay, then I'm going to play it. So, and yeah, I would have learned, that through some persons in every opportunity, through when collaborating, in every opportunity, you need to take your moment to shine. So even though you are at the forefront, so for example, there's a singer, but then you're just playing in the band, there's always going to be a moment where you get your shine and you just need to be ready for it.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you, whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. And you said the band, and I'm realizing that is so much. That's definitely collaboration, because it's not any one person. Yes, like you said, there is a singer, but there is everybody else that plays a role in creating that sound, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you all have to work together. But yeah, I always like when they say, like when they give each person a chance to play. And then they say, I guess they'll say Ethan on trumpet, right? I always like when they do that. So I guess when you get that moment, you do your thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And who are some of the people you've gotten a chance to play with over time, and maybe one that stands out to you the most?
So I would have in Trinidad, I would have played with, as I mentioned, the Charles Project, artist named Nisa, very great singer, very great vocalist, and another wonderful artist named Charmaine. She's very great, a legend in the game. One, although, Nisa and Miss Charmaine, they're very good at their craft and what they do. I would say Anton Charles from the Charles Project would be someone that has really stood out to me. One, because he is not too far from my age, and and even though he's young, he has a very great understanding of the music industry and what music is, and and taking pieces from different places and piecing them together to make something amazing. And that's something I would like to uh, get into and understand, that better understanding of getting inspiration from different sources and really creating that, that thing that is yours. Yeah. As I said, I'm trying to create my sound and my thing. So I feel like he has a very good understanding of how to do that. So I'm really learning that.
Great. And how did you get such opportunities to work with some of the names that you just mentioned?
Well, yeah, it would have been through Anton, of course. So Anton is affiliate. Well, he's a student, a music major at USC, where I'm at as well. And he's also from St. Lucia. So there would have been that connection there already. And, he would have been on some projects that, where he would have needed brass players. And for those who don't know, trumpet is a brass instrument. It's a wind instrument, but mostly a brass instrument, right? So he pulled me in on that. And first we would have played with the Charles Project, which is his band, his and his brothers. And then we got to do, the gig with Nisa and Miss Charmaine. And, it's really been a good experience, a great experience. So yeah, I'm definitely thankful I got to do those things.
Okay. So it sounds like networking is huge. Like it's about your network in terms of what projects you get pulled on,
Yeah, for sure.
pulled into.
Yeah, for sure. And it may not come like it came like for me in terms of, being through school, but I know friends in music who would have been posting their videos online, and then someone would have seen it and just said, "Hey, I want you to play for me." So start learning my songs and then we're going to play. That has literally happened. And not just on a small scale, but like a huge scale, to a point where they were literally touring the world, right? Yeah. So it's important to put yourself out there. Yesterday as well, another friend was speaking with me, and, he was telling me that, he was speaking with someone, and they asked, "So why haven't you been in my area to perform?" And he was like, "Well, I'm waiting on an invitation." And he was like, "Nah, you have to push yourself out there. You have to, say, hey, I'm available to play. Do you need someone?" Right. So it's definitely a thing where you have to push yourself as well.
Totally agreed. So when it comes to the building part of things, there's just two more things that I want to touch on before we move to the blossoming stage. And that's events. So I know you mentioned the hotel. In terms of events, what other events do you play at? What kinds of events?
So as I would have said, I would have done Hills and Valleys Jazz, which was the first gospel jazz show in Bexar. That was this year, May. I performed at Jazz Artists on the Green. That's in Trinidad. I Am Jazz in Trinidad as well. And Naparima Bowl Jazz. That's in Trinidad as well. There are other events coming up. Well, I'm going to be part of a talent show of sorts in USC. So USC's Got Talent. And that's coming up towards the end of October and November, beginning of November there. So these are places where I would have performed and I am about to perform. The majority of it would have been, other places like birthday parties. If you have a birthday party coming up or if someone has a birthday party coming up and you just want someone to pop in and play happy birthday and another song, then I would do that as well. Or, even weddings, funerals, that type of thing, just general events, graduations. Yeah, these are places I would have performed as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking family reunions too, because that's one of the big events my family had. And I was just thinking that would be nice to have you play there.
Right.
So it's good to know now that you're letting people know that you're available for events like that as well. And yeah, and I'm just remembering there's this guy on Instagram, and I think his whole thing is they hire him to like surprise people at the airport, and just like he has those gigs where he just goes to play at most random places, and it brings so much joy to people. Like I think they was if somebody wants to surprise someone with a car or something like that. He pops in playing the music. I've seen him go to welcome somebody at the airport. And I just found that it was really nice that he does stuff like that, just pop-ups. So when you were talking, I just kind of thought of him a little bit.
I feel like the pop-ups are always fun because like seeing the reaction on the person's face and not just the person, but like everyone else who doesn't know. Cause like, oh my gosh, wow, oh, yeah, right. And it's a great place to get more work as well. It's another way of networking because you have so many persons there now. They're thinking, oh, well, I have this person's birthday coming up, or I have this person, this activity coming up. I would like to get this person's information. So, it's also a very good place to network yourself.
Yeah, I would say so. And we mentioned that you're also studying. So how has that been for you, balancing studies with music?
It's been a task for sure. It has taken some getting used to. For me, I have the opportunity to practice myself. So I have to practice my music minor stuff anyway, my music degree stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I would plug some of the other stuff, some of my personal stuff in there as well. So whenever if I'm practicing for an hour and a half, then I would just take an hour for my degree and then take the half hour, or I would split it halfway, 45, 45, that type of thing. And then, as my mother always tells me, remember what your goal is in Trinidad and not, cause she knows that I love music and it's easy for me to just, drop everything and just focus on music. So she's also always reminding me, remember what the goal is. It's good that you're doing those things, but you need to remember the goal. And so, yeah, that's important as well to make sure I have my assignments down, even though it takes, staying up very late sometimes to completing them after a rehearsal or something, but making sure I have everything down and I have good people around me who make sure, even when I'm doing all those things that, yeah, these things do get done and I'm not burning myself out in the process, of
Yeah, that's important for sure. And where do you see yourself going professionally when it comes to be computing and also music?
I would like to get into app and software development. There's a merge in the two where you now have to develop software for music. So when we listen to music, what happens in the background is that it's recorded somewhere. All right. And then they're not always using live instruments. So they're using, virtual software that mimics the instrument that you want to play. So there's someone who's creating those virtual instruments. And that's where music and technology find that merger. So that's something I would like to get into, as well as performing, not on a super grand scale, but I'd like to get into, performing and recording is, musician as well. That's where I'm seeing myself going. But, I've been learning to let God decide where I'm going. So I'm hoping that that's where he wants me to go. But in the same time, I'm learning to cede control and let him decide what's in the future for me.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And let us talk about blossoming now. We just talked about where you'd like to see your career go, and that it will be God led as well. I'm just wondering, in terms of success, like how do you define success?
Yeah. So for me, measuring success, in a sense, it does have to do with physical wealth, but then it's not all about that. I would like to live a comfortable life when we're talking about financially, but then it's also about the positive impact, the legacy that I have when when I'm not around anymore. So when I'm no longer at USC, I don't want it to just, I don't want like the only memory of me to be from a yearbook, right? I want it to be able to be said that, yeah, he did this and he did that, and, that was his project and that type of thing. So, in all my, in everything that I do and in all my decisions, I, of course, get counsel from God as to what he wants me to do. But then I also make sure that I do it as best as possible so that when it's done, it's so good that, it's remembered as something that Ethan did. Yeah, and that's the, I want to be able to look back and say, hey, hopefully when I have grandchildren, and I'll be able to say, hey, come see what Papa did, right? And then, for persons who's trying to do something similar, they'll be able to have that as reference as well. So it's really about the legacy for me. Yeah.
Great. And that takes us nicely to our closeout section. You mentioned persons who want to do something similar. What advice would you have for such a person? We generally ask for about like 3 tips that you'd like to share with such a person.
I would say, and it's not just because, I'm a religious person, but I genuinely believe that you should, one, counsel God, seek counsel from God, right? When you have listened to what he said, then you plan, right? Because he will give you the idea, but then he's also asking that you make the necessary steps to planning. And then once you have planned, don't just keep that plan and say, oh, well, I plan to do this, or I plan to do that, right? You should definitely, like, once you have your plan set, trust that God has given you this idea. He has given you the ability to make the plans, and he's also going to give you the ability to execute those plans. So if it is that you need to speak to someone about editing your podcast, then don't be afraid. Just call that person up. Find someone remotely who's any way possible, or able to do that. And just go ahead and do it. And you'll see that God is going to open up ways for that to happen.
Great. All right. And if someone listening to you right now who's more advanced in their music career right now, what would you say to that person?
I would ask for, I have some experience, so I would have some ideas as to how to get there, but then I would also ask for tips as to what I'm not doing yet to take me to that next step. And to, just to almost ask to be a tail, in a sense, a shadow. Just let me see what you're doing and let me absorb some of that information and some of those skills that you have. But I don't think I would necessarily ask them anything. I guess the questions I would ask would depend on the person. So if it's a trumpet player, I would ask about, how do you improve your range. If it's a guitar player, I can't ask them how to improve range on trumpet. So I would ask them, how do you decide where to go in terms of chords and that type of thing. So it would vary. But then I would just want to be around persons who have better knowledge, and I'll just want to sit around and follow them in everything they do. So yeah. All right. My question would be, can I be your tail?
I like that. That's definitely a good way to learn. And before we end, is there anything exciting that you'd like to share with us? In terms of your music career, school, or anything overall?
Yeah. So I do have, I'm following in your footsteps, and I do have a podcast on the way, called Chat and Jam. You can follow on Instagram or TikTok at Chat and Jam, just an N. So Chat and Jam, right? You'll get more information on the release date, on there. We can't say right now because we're still working out, those these final tweaks. But yeah, it's something that I'm really interested in. I see it as a way to contribute to, another way to contribute to the community, the music community, and to help others, who are like myself, climbing that ladder. And, it's kind of like bringing other persons, everybody on that same level, similar to what you're doing, bringing persons on that same level or on similar levels to have a discussion, but then they're not really in the same room. But, you learn from something that person said, and then that person learns from something you said in your episode. At the end of our conversation, there would be a performance, a live performance by that person. So they also have not just an interview of, that they could look back, but then there's something there that they're contributing to the music world as well. Not just speaking, but actually with their talent. And for some, in one of the episodes that we have already recorded, that the person has no really, like, you don't have a full piece posted online, and that would be like their first one. So it's a great start I see it as a great start for persons, and it's a great push to get them out there in the same way I'm trying to get myself out there.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're creating such a platform. I love it, Ethan. I wish you all the best. Congratulations. I'll be tuning in, especially for that live performance.
All right. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I'm really, really happy for you.
Yeah. More information on release to come. Just follow the socials, at Chat and Jam. I will send you the information so you can post it on there as well. And yeah, so we have some exciting things coming on there. Yeah.
That's great. So yes, we will all be looking out for it. And we wish you all the best. And yes, I can tell you I'll be tuning in. So thanks for sharing that with us. And like you're creating community amongst musicians on your end, I could see very much that your platform will be adding to that whole community feel. So for us, we also working to create community here. And one of the ways we do that is to connect guests like yourself with people who are listening. So would you be open to someone listening to you now and being able to actually get in touch with you, whether it's to speak about your music, to see how you've been one-on-one conversations about what you've been doing, both in music and your studies?
Yeah, for sure. That's not something that I would be opposed to. I may not get back to that person like instantly, in terms of if they send me a message, I would answer right away. But I would definitely, be open to that discussion and, seeing how we could help each other on our journeys as well.
Great. I love that. Thank you for giving back that way. And can you tell us the ways that we can get in touch with you?
So it's only Ethan Leo. No capitals, no spaces, only Ethan Leo. And then on Instagram, you'll be able to find my other handles. So just reach out to me on Instagram, and then we can connect everywhere else.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. And we will also include that in the show notes. So look there for all his handles. All right. And Ethan, I know that you're not feeling the best, yet you still took time out to speak with us. So thank you for doing that. And we really appreciate having you here with us. And I look forward to having you on again, especially after your podcast. I would love to know how that went, the process to getting it together and how it's been. I mean, I'll be talking to you after you've launched as well. So I would love to know how that process is for you.
For sure. Thank you for having me again. And yeah, I look forward to having that conversation.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to this episode of Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a CME Accounting LLC podcast. Please subscribe and be on the lookout for our next episode. If you'd like to share any feedback with us, please email us at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com.